Le Gardien is directed by Xavier Beauvois, and I extend my deepest apologies to anyone out there who happens to speak French. Because as you might have noticed, I don't. And I probably butchered that pretty badly. Anyway, this is a French movie that takes a bit of a different approach to the First World War. There's almost no actual warring going on, except I think in one sequence, and even then, not really. But it's actually more about a farm that's pretty much run by women, since you know all the men are gone. And at first you'd think the movie is about this old lady, the lady who runs the farm. But turns out it's not really. It's more about this young woman who comes to work at the farm. The timeline of the movie basically spans the entire war, from I think 1915 to 1920, so they jump ahead a lot, especially in the end. But it didn't feel jarring, it worked well. What didn't really work for me though was the first 30 minutes or so. I was kinda struggling and thought this might be a tough one to sit through. It was just so slow and quiet. In fact, the first time I noticed any kind of music was 50 minutes into it. There might have been some earlier than that, I don't know, but it didn't feel like it. But when the score does kick in, it's beautiful. You get a little bit of flute in there, it's nice. But the way the movie is shot makes most of it feel a bit flat and not exactly exciting. There's almost exclusively wide shots, very few close-ups, and barely any dialogue. So combine that with almost no music, and you get this kind of detached storytelling. You feel sort of removed from the experience, like you're on the outside looking in. But it did eventually get better. When the movie started to get a little bit more into the character of Francine, I think her name was. And after that I wasn't really struggling to pay attention anymore. And it is a very well shot movie, but it's mostly static shots and slow pans, and nothing really exciting or crazy. Some of the scenes almost looked like one of those, I'm not sure what that style might be called, realism or naturalism. Anyway, some of the shots almost looked like those kind of paintings, with a bunch of people working the fields by hand. You've seen those. By the way, imagine farming before tractors and machines. Jesus Christ, that's some hard work right there. These ladies had their work cut out for them. Gotta admire that. Story-wise though, there's virtually no exposition. You kinda have to put two and two together yourself. Almost nothing's explicitly stated. Things are mostly implied. And it takes probably around an hour to get to the actual story of the young woman. The farm's more or less just a backdrop and a subplot. But even then, there's not that much to the story. It's pretty simple. There's a few things going on, but it's pretty straightforward. And considering this thing is well over 2 hours, I feel like they could have done a lot more with that time. Maybe the most interesting and surprising thing about this whole movie though, was the way I felt about the old lady. I started out feeling one way, but by the end of it, I felt completely differently. Speaking of which, the end was kinda ambiguous, but I kinda liked it. It didn't bother me. Overall though, I have some mixed feelings about this movie, because it kinda grew on me. The further along it got, the more I liked the main character. And at the end of it, I kinda loved it. But it was just such a slow burn. It really tried my patience at certain points. So as a whole I didn't love it, but I liked where it went a lot. So I don't know. Would I recommend it? Sorta, but not really. Watch it or don't. I'm not your dad.